My name is Hailey Wainwright. I'm 33, and I've spent most of my life walking quietly beneath the weight of my family's expectations. Jasper and Violetta Wainwright built a household that glimmered with marble floors and gala lights, while my brother Calder moved through it like a shadow perfectly aligned with their script.
Me?
I preferred dusty archives and quiet streets over boardrooms and cocktail parties. Always the outsider. Always the one who made mistakes in their eyes. The knock came sharp. Single. Hard. My coffee cup trembled in my hand. I knew before I even opened the door. Bailiff Harris, uniform pressed, expression neutral, handed me a single crisp envelope. Family court. Petition for conservatorship. My breath hitched. The envelope felt heavier than lead. I ripped it open. The petition claimed I was incapable of managing my own affairs, my apartment, my savings, my rare books, my life. They wanted it all. Every possession. Every decision. My pulse spiked. Control is a currency, my mother had once said. I never realized she would try to buy my entire existence. I sank onto the edge of my sofa. Avery's text buzzed. Check the filings. Something isn't right. I opened my laptop, navigating through legal jargon and scanned signatures. A subtle tilt, a faint mismatch in my father's handwriting. Forged, maybe? Or just sloppy. My stomach twisted. They were meticulous. I moved through my apartment like a shadow, eyes on every window, every door. Nothing outside. Too quiet. Too calm. Too perfect for what was coming. I thought of all the nights Calder had mocked me for hoarding old letters, for caring too much about history. And now history was mocking me. My phone buzzed again. An anonymous number. We know what you've done. My hands froze. My pulse thudded against my ribs. Every secret transfer, every charitable gift, every friend I had quietly helped I had believed I was safe.
Cutscene.
The elevator dinged. A shadow lingered near the building entrance. I didn't move. Breath held. The figure waited, scanning. Then left. I sat back at my desk. Fingers trembling. Heart pounding. Thoughts racing. They can't take what isn't theirs. I thought of a phrase I once read. To a future we can't escape. We must still act. Now those words pressed into my chest. I began reviewing my accounts, confirming transfers to charity, friends, and trusts. My parents thought they were reclaiming my life. They didn't know I had already spent it. Every last dollar, every asset, beyond their reach.
Cutscene.
The street outside my window was still. Streetlights flickered. A car door clicked shut in the distance.
Eyes.
Always eyes. Watching. Waiting. I clenched the envelope, jaw tight, and whispered to no one. They think they can take everything from me. Little do they know, it's already gone. The courthouse loomed like a fortress. Cold stone. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. I stepped inside, heels clicking against marble. Every echo a reminder that nothing here would be quiet, nothing safe. Victor Lang, my father's lawyer, was already waiting in the hallway, dossier in hand, grin too wide to be innocent. Miss Wainwright, he said, voice oily. We've prepared everything you're about to lose. I felt Calder's gaze before I saw him. Leaning casually against the wall, smirk plastered on his face. Don't overthink it, he murmured, almost friendly. Friendly, yes, friendly as a wolf is friendly. I kept walking. My pulse thrummed in my ears. Avery stayed close behind me, whispering, check the filing. Something's off. Her finger jabbed at the corner of a stack of papers. I squinted. A signature didn't match. Subtle tilt, nearly invisible. The kind of detail that could cost me everything. I slid into the courtroom, bench cold under my palms. The room smelled faintly of polished wood and nervous ambition. Jasper and Violetta sat together, perfectly composed. Their calm was a weapon. Calder mirrored it. My heartbeat picked up. Perfection is the camouflage of cruelty, I thought, gripping my briefcase tighter. Lang opened the dossier, sliding each document across the table. Bank statements.
Deeds.
Lists of possessions, apartment, car, savings, books. every legal avenue to strip me bare. I clenched my teeth. They thought they could predict me. Control is a currency. My mother's voice echoed in my head. I had already spent theirs. Then a shadow at the doorway. I froze. Not Calder.
Not Lang.
Someone else. A man, neutral face, following every move. I couldn't identify him in the harsh fluorescent glare. I shifted in my seat. He vanished in the next second. Lang's voice rose, slicing through the tension. Your Honor, the respondent has demonstrated patterns of instability, financial immaturity. She's unfit. I swallowed. My chest felt tight. Stability isn't obedience, I thought. It's knowing your own worth. The judge, Montgomery, raised his gavel, poised to bring order, but I was already scanning the documents. Every line, every transfer, a donation here, a trust there, friends listed as beneficiaries. Every single asset they thought they could claim?
Gone.
Avery leaned close, whispering, It's all valid. You did everything by the book. I nodded, voice barely a whisper. They're about to find out their claim is worthless, but they'll never forgive me for the truth.
Cut scene.
The courtroom door creaked. A murmur. Calder's smirk faltered for a second. Someone had arrived late. Another lawyer, someone unfamiliar, dropping a new filing on the clerk's desk. Eyes darted. Whispers grew louder. I caught my breath. Lang flicked through it, then glanced at Jasper. This changes nothing, he said, but his voice wavered just slightly. I felt it then, a shift. My parents' perfect plan, the weaponized calm, the assumption that I was predictable, it was cracking. The shadow outside the courthouse windows lingered again, just beyond the frosted glass. I could feel the eyes, even when I tried not to. Always watching. Always waiting. I leaned back in my chair, forcing a steady breath, whispering under it, They're about to find out their claim is worthless, but they'll never forgive me for the truth. The rain had started by the time I got back to my apartment. Neon reflections shimmered in puddles. I could feel the city pressing against the glass like it was listening, waiting. Avery trailed behind, carrying a stack of files like armor. They're not done yet, she said, voice tight. Expect a motion any second. They'll try to freeze your accounts before you even step into court again. I nodded, eyes scanning the darkened street. Control is an illusion, I whispered, thinking of the phrase I'd clipped from some old article. Power only exists if you let it.
Cut scene.
I moved through the apartment, checking windows, locks, the old sensor on the storage unit. Every creak, every flicker of light made my heart jump. Shadows shifted against the walls. Someone was watching. Always watching. A phone buzzed. Anonymous number. Stop pretending you're safe. I clenched my fists. Every transfer, every gift, every asset already gone, already legally untouchable. They had no clue. Yet fear crawled up my spine like ice. Calder wasn't done. Victor Lang wasn't done. Even the courthouse, sterile as it seemed, hid unpredictable traps.
Cut scene.
Avery leaned closer, whispering, I double-checked the trust clause. Old, obscure but airtight. If the judge sees it, they can't touch anything. I exhaled slowly. We can't count on them missing a loophole. Never trust complacency. Then, movement outside the building. A figure paused at the corner, half shrouded in darkness. I ducked behind the couch. Breath caught. My pulse matched the rain staccato against the window.
Cut scene.
Back at the desk, files spread across the surface, fluorescent light washing over papers like a spotlight on a stage. I went line by line, account by account, signature by signature. Each verification was a mini-war, every correct transfer a tiny victory in a battlefield that had been my life. Avery's voice tense. They're not just watching the courthouse. Someone's been following your routine.
Days. Weeks. Could be Calder.
Could be someone else. I leaned back, jaw tight. No one knows everything. That's why we act first.
Cut scene.
Then the email. No sender. No subject. Attachment. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed, don't open it. But curiosity, necessity, survival, stronger than fear. I clicked. Inside, a detailed log of my recent transactions.
Dates.
Beneficiaries.
Amounts.
Every move I thought secret. Every transfer documented. My chest tightened. They know more than I thought. Avery's hand on my shoulder. Or it's a trap. Distract you, rattle you, make you slip. I swallowed, mind racing. Then we make the slip mine to control.
Cut scene.
I moved to the storage unit, heart hammering. Key in hand. Camera slow motion. Door creaking, latch clinking, shadows flicking past from streetlights. I stepped inside. Papers, ledgers, sealed envelopes, and boxes line the walls. Every item a piece of evidence, a fortress of truth. I pulled out one of the envelopes, breath ragged. If they think they can corner me, they haven't learned that fear is a weapon, I murmured.
Cut scene.
Outside, headlights flashed past the building, then stopped. Movement. I froze. Eyes, angles, reflections. Someone was tracking the light from my apartment. Waiting. Calculating. I exhaled slowly, hands trembling. Every step forward counts. Every hesitation is a mistake.
Cut scene.
I returned to the desk, heart still racing. Avery watched. Tonight, she said, voice low, you set the trap. They don't see it coming until it's too late. I smiled, bitter but determined. They'll find out what I already knew, that nothing they want exists anymore, and every move they make now is a reaction.
Cut scene.
The rain fell harder. Shadows moved across the alley. The phone buzzed again. Text. If you don't show up tonight, all will be lost. I gripped my briefcase. Fingers white, heart hammering, thoughts spinning. By the time they realize, it'll be too late for them, and I'll be untouchable. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick, sticky, with the smell of wet asphalt. Portland streets reflected neon like fractured glass. I stepped out of the cab, heels clicking sharp, echoing against wet concrete. Avery trailed, clutching a folder like a shield.
They filed again, she said.
Voice tight, urgent. New injunctions. They'll try to freeze your accounts before the hearing tomorrow. I didn't flinch. Then we moved faster. My words cut the cold night. Action beats panic.
Cut scene.
I slipped into the storage unit, key in hand. The lock clicked, echoing like a gunshot. Inside, rows of boxes, envelopes, ledgers, my life cataloged and guarded. Every asset carefully transferred, documented.
No mistakes.
Not a single trace for them to follow. Yet I felt their eyes, watching from somewhere in the darkness beyond the window. A door slammed in the hallway outside. A shadow shifted. Heart hammering, I ducked. Avery froze beside me. They're testing you, she whispered. A small scare. See if you flinch. I straightened. I don't flinch. I calculate.
Cut scene.
Back at my apartment, laptop open, fluorescent light bouncing off glass frames. I checked each account. Every transfer. Beneficiaries, charities, legal trusts. Bulletproof. Untouchable. The safest place is always just ahead of them, I muttered. Phone buzzed. Anonymous. No name. No number. You're running out of time. I clicked it. A PDF. Every move I'd made documented. Every dollar, every document, every transfer I thought hidden. Someone knew. Or wanted me to think someone knew.
Cut scene.
Calder appeared in the doorway. Thought you'd enjoy a quiet night? His grin was friendly. Too friendly.
Predatory.
I didn't look up. Heart hammered. They can't take what isn't theirs, I said, voice low, almost a mantra. Power is only in what you allow them to see. Avery's hand touched mine. We can't let him know you've already set everything beyond reach. I nodded. Then we don't. Not a word. Not a sign. Everything depends on silence.
Cut scene.
Lights flickered. Shadows leaned against walls. Outside, headlights moved slowly down the alley.
Paused.
Observing. Waiting. I went to the filing cabinet, rifled through papers. Legal clauses.
Trusts.
Hidden provisions. Every obscure note checked. My fingers shook, not from fear, but adrenaline. Avery whispered, "Tonight, you control the trap. They see nothing coming." I breathed in the paper scent, the faint ozone of rain. "They'll react to my moves, not the other way around," I said. Reaction is the currency of weakness.
Cut scene.
The phone buzzed again. Text. "If you don't appear at the courthouse tonight, everything will be lost." I gripped the edge of the desk. Mind spinning. Adrenaline and fear collided. Tonight, one wrong move, and they'll own more than just my possessions, they'll own me. The courthouse smelled of polished wood and nervous ambition. I stepped inside, heels sharp against the marble floor, heartbeat loud enough to echo. Avery's hand brushed mine as we approached the bench. "Remember," she whispered, "they're counting on fear." I didn't answer. Eyes forward. Mind racing. Every gavel hit, every shuffle of paper, every murmur of spectators added weight. Jasper and Violetta sat side by side, composed, smiling with that cold precision that always made my skin crawl. Calder was there too, leaning back like a predator surveying prey. Victor Lang started immediately, voice smooth, sharp. "Your Honor, the respondent has demonstrated a consistent pattern of financial mismanagement." I tuned him out, scanning the room. Judge Montgomery's eyes flicked from me to the plaintiffs. The gallery leaned in. My pulse quickened. Control is an illusion. Perception is power. I repeated it like a mantra.
Cut scene.
Documents slammed onto the desk. Deeds, account statements, receipts. Every legal avenue they had prepared to strip me bare. Every detail meticulously designed to corner me. I clenched my fists under the table. Every instinct screamed that this was the climax they wanted. Then movement in the gallery. A former family associate I hadn't seen in years stepped forward, eyes locked on the judge. "I can verify the transfers," she said. "All gifts and charitable distributions were completed legally and irrevocably." Gasps rippled.
Langfrotze.
Jasper blinked. Violetta's hand trembled slightly. Calder's smirk faltered. Cut scene. Avery whispered in my ear, "Now, drop it." I leaned forward. "Every asset they claim is already beyond reach," I said, voice firm, controlled. "The apartment, the savings, the collections, they no longer exist in any form that can be touched by this court or my parents."
Shock.
Silence. The judge's gavel hovered midair. Spectators' mouths hung open. Even Lang hesitated, flicking through pages.
Cut scene.
From the corner of my eye, a shadow moved outside the high courtroom windows. Someone observing, waiting, calculating. Jasper leaned forward, voice tight. "This cannot be true. The documentation." "It's all valid," I interrupted. "Every transfer, every trust, every beneficiary. You've been preparing for an empty target. And now you see it." My hands rested on the table.
Calm. Cold. Cut scene.
Lang opened his mouth, then closed it. Calder shifted, jaw tight. The gallery murmured, whispers bouncing off marble walls. I felt the tension, the disbelief, the unraveling of their perfect plan. I remembered a line I'd read once. "Power only exists if you let it." Never had it felt more true. Avery squeezed my hand. "You did it. They can't touch a thing." I nodded, but I couldn't relax. The shadow outside, the lingering eyes, the feeling that even in victory, nothing was ever fully safe. It clung to my skin.
Cut scene.
Judge Montgomery banged the gavel. "Case, notes acknowledged. All assets as presented are legally transferred and beyond claim. Petition denied." Relief surged, but so did adrenaline. My chest heaved. I stood slowly, scanning the room. The gallery, the lawyers, my parents' stunned faces. Victory, but the battle's edge still sharp. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an anonymous number. They had lost the battle, but in the shadows, the war was only beginning. I froze, pulse spiking, realizing the fight was far from over. I had won, but I couldn't shake the feeling someone was still watching, waiting for me to slip. Rain tapped lightly against the windows, soft but insistent, a reminder that the world outside never slept. I stood on the balcony, city lights rippling in puddles below, reflecting neon like shattered glass. Avery was beside me, silent, letting the moment stretch between us. "The judge finalized the ruling this morning," she said quietly. "Everything is legally untouchable. Your parents have nothing." I nodded, letting it sink in. Victory had a sharp taste, metallic, bitter. Every paper filed, every clause cited, every gift and transfer meticulously executed, it all counted. And yet the shadows lingered. Even in triumph, the unease crawled up my spine. "Control," I whispered, "is only real when it's earned, not assumed."
Cut scene.
The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. My keys clinked in the lock as I secured the door. Every habit, every precaution from the past weeks felt automatic. Windows double-checked, blinds adjusted, lights dimmed to conceal. Someone was always watching, always calculating. I poured coffee, black, no sugar. Steam rose, curling, fragile as calm. Avery set a folder on the table, documents from the courthouse, a summary of every transfer I'd executed. "This is bulletproof," she said, eyes scanning the shadows outside. "For now." I smiled tight. "For now," I repeated, knowing full well that in a life like mine, calm was temporary. "Even the longest night ends with a sunrise," I muttered. Words I'd held close for years, a mantra for surviving storms I could see coming but never prevent entirely.
Cut scene.
Then a knock.
Quick. Sharp.
Almost polite. My pulse hit triple time. Avery froze, hand near her coat pocket, instincts ready. I approached, fingers brushing the chain lock, slow motion awareness of every sound. Another shadow at the door. No one. Just an envelope slipped beneath the door.
Nog handwriting.
No indication of sender. I picked it up, felt the weight of anonymity. Opened it. Inside, a single page. "This isn't over." The words burned like acid.
Calm shattered.
I gripped the counter, knuckles white. Avery's eyes met mine. "You knew it wouldn't end clean." I exhaled. Slow. Steady. The city below buzzed faintly, a reminder that life moved on even when danger waited in corners. "They lost the battle," I said quietly, "but the shadows don't care about battles. Only movement. Only opportunity."
Cut scene.
Later, in the dim glow of my living room, I reviewed every document one last time. Each transfer, each trust, each legal safeguard checked. Every precaution in place. I allowed myself a brief smile. "Safety," I said aloud, "is just preparation in advance of chaos." The apartment door clicked. I looked up ready. Shadows. Light angles. Movement. Nothing. Yet the feeling persisted. Someone watching, waiting, invisible but tangible. "Trust is earned, even from the unseen," I whispered.
Cut scene.
I stepped to the balcony once more. The sky was clearing, early morning light creeping over Portland's skyline. Exhaustion pressed on me, adrenaline fading to a dull thrum. Avery leaned on the railing beside me.
"You did it," she said.
"You survived everything." I nodded, heart still racing but proud. I did more than survive. I reclaimed what they never understood. My life, my choices, my worth.
Cut scene.
And as the city woke, headlights cutting through lingering mist, I felt it. The war had ended in law and principle. My parents and Calder had underestimated me. I had anticipated every move, every angle, every shadow. Yet the note reminded me that vigilance was never over. Still, for the first time in decades, I smiled fully. A light, unguarded smile. The world can watch, can wait, can try, but it cannot own me.
Cut scene.
I turned from the railing, Avery following, and for the first time, I allowed myself to breathe, to move forward. Outside, the city carried on, oblivious to the storm that had passed in a single apartment, a single family. They had lost the battle, but in the shadows, the war was only beginning. And yet I was ready. This was my life, my rules, my power. And nothing, not law, not family, not shadows, could ever take that from me.